Hey Clinkers! How's it going? Whitney here. Welcome to day 3 of Wine 101. Today we're going to cover Oregon. I never say that right. I'm probably going to say Oregon like one of our organs in our body. I apologize now if you're from there. I actually lived there as a child for quite a while, so I don't know, I have such a hard time saying that. But Oregon, whatever. Pinot Noir, one of my favorites. Riesling, which is one I'm getting way more into lately. And why some winemakers are using screw caps now versus corks. So grab your wine, say hi when you get here, give me a heart or something so I know you're here. I know a lot of you watch this later, but still check in with me so I know who's in this. I almost said bitch. I can cuss in here. Who's in this bitch? I'm drinking the Chardonnay I opened a couple days ago. This is the one that was, remember, unoaked, so it was done in stainless steel, a little more pineapple-y than a normal one. Hey Sue, hey Steph. I see a couple people are jumping on. I love it. I'm just going to have a sip and then we'll get this party started. I just made dinner. I get this sunbasket thing, which is this amazing delivery of like all the ingredients. You cook it yourself. But I literally just made dinner at 4 in the afternoon because I have calls all night. And this bitch don't miss no meals. So I had to take care of my belly. So 5 seconds ago I was scarfing right there. But it was delicious. It was these black bean and roasted cauliflower tacos. Oh, it was good. And these kind of like crisp whites go really good with spicy. So anyways, bomb.com. My belly's happy and now I can spend the rest of the evening with my beautiful wine people. All right, let's get started. Hey Lindsay, hey Ashley, woo woo. So I'm gonna get started. Let's start talking about the difference between a screw cap and a cork. Okay, so we've been using corks for like, I don't know, as long as we've been making wine, so thousands of years. So the cork's really great, especially for a wine that needs to age for a while because it allows a breathability to the wine. The problem with cork is that it can create a fungus in your product. So think about if you're a product maker and 5% of your shit goes bad, that sucks. So that is an issue with corks. It also takes about 10 years to grow a cork tree. It's just a specific kind of tree. It's a specific kind of oak tree to be exact. So it takes a long time to grow the corks, and we're like growing these trees and taking up space and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of winemakers in the New World, remember we talked about New World and Old World wines. Old World's going to be Europe. New World's going to be everywhere else, New Zealand, Australia, America, South America, North America, South Africa. So we are more interested, no, not interested, more willing to try new things. So we've really brought the screw caps into play. What's great about a screw cap is there's no waste because it doesn't affect the wine. There's no fungus, so it doesn't go bad because it's airtight. Hey! It's great for a wine that can be drank younger, so if it needs to age, they're still experimenting on that. There's a couple of the top winemakers that are experimenting with the screw cap to see if it can, you know, age a wine that needs to maybe sit in the bottom of your closet for 15 to 20 years. But the problem is we've only been using screw caps for about 15 years, so that is still undetermined. So for now, it's for younger wines, it's airtight, and it's cheap, so it's much cheaper than a cork. So that's the difference. It doesn't mean that the wine is cheap. It doesn't mean that you need to stay away from them. There's no better or worse. Tons of really high quality, expensive wines are with a screw cap now. So again, how do you learn about wine? You drink a lot of wine. So anyways, if you're just curious about that, because I always thought like the screw cap, I was like, well, I like the nostalgia of the cork, you know, and the sound it makes when it pops out of the bottle. You're just like, yeah, I'm about to drink wine. So the screw cap doesn't have that kind of excitement, but it still tastes fucking delicious. So cheers. Tea. Okay, let's get into the meat of today. I'm going to talk about Oregon. Am I saying it right? I have a hard time with that. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. I apologize now. I'll try not to repeat it over and over and over again. So anyways, Oregon is known for their Pinot Noir. They really are what got America kind of on the map for wine. It is a very harsh climate up there. It's not a lot of sun, not a lot of warmth, so the grapes have a hard time ripening up there, but grapes like Pinot Noir freaking love that shit. Another grape that is grown very well up there is Chardonnay, and actually if you're growing Pinot Noir, you're going to be growing Chardonnay too. Not the other way around, Chardonnay grows everywhere, but it just happens to be that wherever Pinot Noir grows, they grow Chardonnay too. They just grow really well together. And some other wines they grow up there are Pinot Grigio, which is one of my favorites. It's a really light, easy wine, and Riesling, which we're also going to be talking about. So it's just really rainy and frosty, and Pinot Noir kind of likes that, you know, sort of, you know, unfavorable weather. What I wanted to talk about this was because this guy, I have to look up his name again, David Lett, in the 1960s, he heard that Burgundy, and Pinot Noir is a native from Burgundy. So remember, the old world names their wines by the region. So in Burgundy, you have white Burgundy or red Burgundy. White Burgundy is Chardonnay, red Burgundy is Pinot Noir. So you know the French, they're known for their wines, they're proud of their wines. In the 1970s, they were having this big blind wine tasting. And this David Lett guy was growing Pinot up in Oregon, and decided that he was gonna fly his wines over there and get in on this competition. What? So anyways, it's this blind wine tasting, so they know it's Pinot Noir, but they don't know where it comes from. And this mofo got number third. He got third in all of the world. These are like world wines coming and tasting at this very prestigious French tasting. He was stoked on that, so this is really what got United States wines on the map, got us like, you know, not like we're just like playing with the French, like we are in it to win it. So anyways, a year later, they had to have a rematch, and he went back, he brought some of his really great Pinots, and he didn't get second. I mean, he didn't get third, he got second. So that was really big for winemaking in America. Let me just see if there's anything I want to say about that. I guess I'll just transition that right into Pinot Noir, talk about Pinot Noir a little bit more. Like I said, it's grown in Oregon. Why do I have such a hard time with that? I should have asked Siri before I got on here. France, obviously, like I just said, Burgundy. Burgundy only grows Chardonnay and Pinot. Napa Valley, if you guys are familiar with Napa Valley, grows some really great Pinots. It's known as the heartbreak grape because if there's a disease to get on the vine, it is going to get your Pinot Noir, and it's going to get it the worst. It's very, very hard to grow, so it takes a very, very special patient winemaker to grow a Pinot Noir. It's kind of, I call it like the princess grape. It wants a very specific climate, it wants very specific soil, very specific weather. So like I just said, Oregon is frosty and wet. Pinot really digs that, like other wine grapes really don't. Another problem with growing Pinot is they're very, very small grapes. So unlike your Zinfandels or your Cabernets, which is like a nice, big, juicy grape, they're very, very small. So you need a lot more to make your vino. But you get Pinot Noir, which is like one of the sexier, velvetier grapes out there. It's a little more feminine in its profile, unlike like the Cabernets we were talking about, which are big and bold, a little more like in your face. This is more delicate. It's got more of the red fruit, so the strawberries and the raspberries. It especially when it's young, it's gonna have those red fruits. When it gets older, it gets a little more vegetal, it gets a little more herbalicious, if you will. One of the grapes on the planet that never should be blended, if you get a crazy cuckoo winemaker, they might try, but it is the only grape that does not need to be blended. It is perfect on its own, and it really shouldn't be blended. It is so soft and not tannic that it really doesn't need it. It also is one of those wines that should never be decantered because it's so light and so soft. If you decanter it, you're basically getting purple juice because you're going to decanter all that flavor out. Decantering is really to soften those big, bold flavors, and this one's, you know, soft and smooth and silky and velvety. I think, some of the things it goes great with is grilled salmon. You could do like even like a grilled teriyaki salmon. That would be delicious. It goes great with chicken, any of your white meats, pork, stuff like that. For me, Pinot Noir is an amazing drinking wine for anything. So like when I sit down in a restaurant, I don't know what I'm going to order yet, I might start with a Pinot Noir because I think it's easily light enough to go with fish or a salad or something like that, and it could kind of handle, you know, some of the more heavier meals. So that's one of my go-tos if I don't know what I'm having yet, is a Pinot Noir. And it's just one of my favorites. I've been drinking it forever. That's why I'm so happy to be part of this club. So I'm branching out a little bit because I'm one of those people that just ordered Pinot Noir for like the last decade. So it's good to learn new things. Let's transition to the Riesling. So I watched this really cute movie last night called Somm, like short for sommelier, and it was super, super cute. And it was one of the guys, he's this cute little Frenchman. He's like, wine is only grown in the most beautiful places. It has to be grown in beautiful places. And I was like, interesting. Like all the appellations, all the places that grow wine are gorgeous. What is that? And he was like, it's the energy. It's the energy. You can't grow something so amazing and so energetic in an ugly place. Anyways, I thought that was really cute. But the other thing they were saying is sommeliers love Riesling. So sommeliers are drinking wine all night. They're tasting wine all night. And for example, Cabernets or something, Zinfandel, stuff that was heavier, is heavy on the palate. So Riesling is this nice zippy, zingy, sweet, kind of effortless wine to drink. So sommeliers, this is one of their favorite varietals. It's a German wine. We talked about that yesterday. It's also part of the noble wines. We talked about that. The 6 that I'm talking about this week are all noble wines, even though I might add 2 tomorrow. I'll ask your opinion in a second. So it's indigenous to Germany, and it's funny because out of everybody in the world, Germany, of course, needs to be different and label their wines differently. So us in America and, well, the New World wines, we all call our wines by the grape, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, blah, blah, blah. Old World, most of, like, France, Spain, Italy, they call it by the region. Well, Germans do it by the level of sweetness in the wine. So, and then it's in German, right? So nobody's speaking this like Frankfurter motherfucker. So nobody knows what the hell they're drinking until they drink it. So now, fast forward a little bit, they're starting to label it either dry Riesling or Riesling. So if it doesn't say dry, it's most likely on the sweeter side. Now, Washington is also known for their Rieslings. They make really nice Rieslings as well. And another thing Germany does, they make something called ice wine. So it gets very, very cold there. And in January, sometimes the grapes actually freeze on the vine. So if you've heard of ice wine, that's what it is. It's a Riesling from Germany that actually has been frozen. So really, it's just like syrup and like sugar. So it's very low in alcohol. It's very, very sweet, but it's a nice dessert wine depending on, you know, what you had for your meal or what you're going to be having. It likes really cool weather. And that's what helps develop this acidity, which, like I said, white wines get their acidity from, white wines get their flavors from the acidity. Red wines get their flavors from the tannins. So it has very high acidity, which is why it's so sweet. What foods does this go with? This is one of my favorite things because it's all my favorite kinds of foods. Well, except the German part, but let's get past that too. If it grows together, it goes together. So it's gonna go with a lot of German food. So if you are one of those people that like those big, like penis-looking, gnarly Frankfurter things with like some, well, I love sauerkraut, but with some sauerkraut and some, you know, fresh grain mustard, like shove that shit in your mouth and wash it down with some Riesling. That is a perfect pairing. But it also goes super great with Indian food, Thai food, sushi, anything that's spicy. Your Riesling is where it's at. I think that's all I have for you guys today. Tomorrow we're going to talk more about food pairing, and I might, do you guys like learning about the wines? Like, do you want to learn about a couple more? Give me like a woo woo or a bunch of likes or something like that if you do, and then maybe I'll talk about, I don't know, I love a Malbec. Maybe I'll talk about some Malbec or Tempranillo or, I don't know, Zinfandel is good because America actually came up with that one. I'm seeing some hearts. Okay, so we'll talk about a couple more wines, and I'm also going to dive into food pairing a little bit more. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being here this week. I really appreciate it. And I'm just going to make sure, anybody have any questions about anything or anything that I haven't mentioned yet that you'd love to hear from, please let me know. And will eventually be, oh, that's interesting. So Ashley Power said it gives it the best seal, right, because it's airtight. She's talking about the difference between the screw cap and the cork. So yeah, it gives it the best seal, and most $20 bottles and under will eventually be screw caps. Interesting. It makes it easy when you're like trying to drink in public. I know you guys all do that too. Okay, I don't see any questions here, but I will see y'all tomorrow. Mwah! Big kisses. Bye. Cheers.